Good evening, guys. Are getting my screen
Recording
and
in
voice? Please
progress.
confirm. Please confirm in chat box. All are getting my screen and voice.
Yes, sir. Audible and visible, sir.
Thank you. Right. Today is the day two. Today is day two, guys. Session two today. Right. So in yesterday's session, what we discussed, guys? In session one, just we discussed about course content, guys. Just we discussed about course content in yesterday's session. Right. Just a high level, guys. I will show the course content what we are going to discuss. See, guys, to attend for this DevOps with AWS course, the main prerequisites are Linux basics. Even if you guys don't know the Linux basics, no problem. In our sessions, we are going to discuss Linux basics also. Okay, the entire course content we have divided into 7 parts, guys. As a part 1, we are going to discuss introduction of the DevOps. Right, in part 2, we are going to discuss Linux and shell scripting. See, guys, here we are going to spend almost a week of time on the Linux commands. So for DevOps with AWS course, what Linux commands are required, all those things we are going to cover it here. No problem. Even if you guys don't know the Linux, no worry, guys. Here we are going to discuss. After that, I will discuss about the shell scripting also here, guys. As part 2, we are going to discuss Linux and shell scripting. Right. As part 3, we are going to discuss AWS cloud, guys. Right. How many services we are going to discuss in the AWS cloud? Almost 20 plus services we are going to discuss. Yesterday, I explained what services we are going to discuss, guys. Okay. Here I mentioned all the services which we are going to discuss. See, 1, 2, right, 20 services we have discussed. We have mentioned it here. As part 4, we are going to discuss DevOps tools. How many DevOps tools we are going to cover? 15 plus DevOps tools we are going to cover. What tools, guys? Here I mentioned, guys. Maven, GitHub, Jenkins, SonarQube, Tomcat, Terraform, Ansible, Docker, Docker Swarm, Kubernetes, Prometheus, Grafana, ELK, Nexus, Zira. All these DevOps tools we are going to discuss, guys. Okay. As part 5, we are going to discuss real-time projects, guys. Whatever the tools we are learning, all those tools we need to integrate, guys. How to integrate all those tools? I will take one Java Spring Boot microservices application end to end. I will explain in the real-time project session, guys. Once development is started till delivery, whatever the stages are involved, everything we are going to discuss in the real-time project, guys. After that, as part 6, we are going to discuss Python scripting. Why this Python scripting? Nowadays, in the companies, they are expecting Python scripting also, guys. In the interviews, they are asking the questions on the Python scripting. They are opening some code and they are asking to explain that code, guys. You guys need to explain the code. So you should know at least basics, guys. And right, we will understand how to automate this Dockers and Jenkins jobs and everything by using Python scripting. Also, we are going to understand here. After that, as part 7, we are going to understand resume preparation, how to keep all these things in the resume. Right, we are learning a lot of content, guys. Right, we need to keep everything in the resume, guys. Right, and some interview questions also I am going to discuss it here, guys. See, guys, this is the course content which we are going to cover, guys. Okay. Course content clear? Yesterday I explained, guys. And you guys can go through that yesterday video, yesterday recording, guys. Okay. Fine, guys. Guys, daily class notes available, guys. I will share the class notes in the Telegram group. And the class recording also you will get, guys. In the Google Drive, you guys will get the class recording also. Okay, fine. Fine, guys. Guys, observe carefully. Today, you guys will get complete picture. What is DevOps? Why DevOps is required? Today, you guys are going to get complete picture. Why DevOps is required? What is this DevOps, guys? So, please concentrate. See, guys. As a DevOps engineers, what we need to do, guys? we need to deploy the applications. We need to deliver the application to client, guys. If you want to deploy the application, first you should have the required infrastructure. Guys, if you want to do any activity, first you need to prepare the required infrastructure. I want to start one restaurant business, guys. How can I start the restaurant business? First, I need to ready the infrastructure to start the restaurant business. Okay, I want to start the offline classes. If I want to start offline classes, I need the required infrastructure. Right, same here. If you want to deploy the application, first you should make it ready the infrastructure, then only you can deploy the application, guys. What infrastructure is required? We need some servers, guys. Right, we need servers, database, network, power, all those things are required, guys. Then only you can deploy the application. Right, earlier people, right, will create the infrastructure on their own premises, guys. On their own company, they will create the infrastructure and all. But nowadays, no one is going with the on-premise infrastructure, guys. In-house infrastructure. Right? Everyone is creating the infrastructure in the cloud only. Earlier, right, people used to create the infrastructure on their own companies, on their own premises. That is called as on-premise infrastructure or in-house infrastructure. If you create the infrastructure on your own, right, on your own premises, then that is called as on-premise infrastructure or in-house infrastructure. But nowadays, no one is going with the on-premise infrastructure. Everyone is creating the infrastructure in the cloud only. So here, which cloud we are going to learn? AWS cloud we are going to learn. So here, where we need to create the infrastructure? In the AWS cloud, we need to create the infrastructure. Okay. See guys, observe carefully here. So this is AWS cloud. This is AWS cloud, guys. Inside the AWS cloud, I have created one virtual machine. If you want to create the virtual machine in the AWS cloud, what service we need to use, guys? Guys, respond. Yesterday I told two-way communication is required. I want to create the virtual machine in the cloud. Then which service I need to use? Yesterday I explained, guys, which service I need to use to create the virtual machine. Very good. We need to use EC2 service, guys. By using EC2 service, we can create any virtual machine in the AWS cloud. Now here, I have created EC2 virtual machine. EC2 VM I have created. Okay. Inside this virtual machine, I have installed one web server, guys. I have installed one web server in the EC2 virtual machine. So this is my web server. Web server I have installed, guys. Okay. Inside this web server, I need to deploy the application, guys. Inside the web server, I need to deploy the application. Okay. See, guys, where you are deploying the application? Inside the web server. Guys, tell me what is web server? What is web server, guys? What is web server? Please respond in the chat box, or else you guys can unmute yourself and you guys can speak out. But I need two-way communication. I need response from everyone, guys. What is web server? Here I think some Java people are there. Java people knows very well. What is web server? Okay. See, guys, the server which we will use to run the web application is called as web server, guys. Web server is nothing but what? The server which we will use to run the web applications is called as web server, guys. Okay. See, guys, hosting application. You can host the application in any server, right? Let me write the point here, guys. Then you guys can remember. So the server, right, which we can use to run the web applications. To run the web applications is called as web server. Read it, guys. What is web server? The server which we can use to run the web applications is called as web server. Guys, tell me what is web application? What is web application, guys? Can anyone tell me? What is web application? What is web application? See, guys, the application which we can access through right internet, through internet is called as web application. Is called as web application. What is web, guys? Web is nothing but internet only, right? The application which we can access through internet, those applications we will call it as web applications. Example, can you give me some examples, guys? Here we can say Gmail is the web application only. Facebook is the web application only, right? So next, Amazon is the web application only, right? Flipkart is the web application only. All these are web applications only. Without having internet, can you able to access these applications? Without having internet, can you able to access these applications? No, we can't. To access these applications, compulsory internet must be required. Then only you can access these applications. Such type of applications we will call it as web applications. The applications which we can access through internet is called as web applications. The server which we will use to run the web applications, to run the Gmail application, to run the Facebook application, to run the Amazon application, those servers we will call it as web servers. Is it clear? What is web application? What is web server? Is it clear? Please respond in the chat box. Right. See, guys, now here what we are going to do, guys, we need to deploy the application in the web server, guys. Okay, right, keep this one side, guys. Infrastructure is ready. My infrastructure is ready to install, to deploy the application. I need server. Where I have installed that server? In the virtual machine. Where you have created this virtual machine? In the AWS cloud. In the AWS cloud, I have created virtual machine. In that virtual machine, I have installed one server. In that server, I need to deploy the application. Okay, perfect. So now observe carefully, guys. Here, I have development team. In my project, development team is available. This is my development team, guys. This is my development team. Right, what development team will do, guys? As per the client requirement, right, they will develop the application by using some programming languages, guys. As per the client will give some requirement. As per that client requirement, development team will develop the applications by using some programming languages. See here, a development team is developed some application, guys. This is my development team, right? 3 members are there in the development team. Assume total 3 members are there in the development team. Guys, please focus. Okay, you guys will get complete clarity what is DevOps, why DevOps is required. Right, guys. This is my development team, guys. This is my development team. Okay, so my development team is developed the application as per client requirement. Once development is completed, then next what they will do, right? They will upload the code in the source code repository. See here, we have source code repository. Here we have the source code repository. Right, development team, once development is completed, they will upload the code into the source code repository. Source code repo, guys. What is the source code repo? I will tell. What is source code repository? I will tell. Developers are develop the application as per client requirement and they will upload the code into this source code repository. With this, developers job is completed, guys. With this, developer's job is completed. Developers want to deliver the application to client. Developers want to deliver the application to the client. Developer won't involve into the deployment, guys. What they will do? They will develop the application as per client requirement. Once development is completed, they will upload that code into the source code repository. That's it. With this, development job is completed. Now, operations team will come into the picture. What operations team will do? Operations team needs to deploy this application in the server, guys. operations team only needs to deploy this application. Whatever the application developers are uploaded in the source code repository, that application will be deployed in the servers by operations team only. Okay, operations team came. Right. So as a operations team, what first they need to do, guys? What they need to do? First, they need to create the infrastructure. If they want to deploy the application, they need to create the infrastructure. Assume this infrastructure is not ready. This infrastructure is not ready. As a operations team, what they need to do, guys? First, they need to create the infrastructure, guys. As a operations team, first they need to create the infrastructure to deploy the application. Okay, here infrastructure setup. Right, this infrastructure setup should be done by the operations team only. Infrastructure setup means what things will come under this? What things will come under this infrastructure setup, guys? See, guys, first one is machines. You need to create the machines, guys, computers. Right, virtual machines are nothing but machines. Virtual machines are nothing but computers only. But those are not physical, guys. Those are not physical. Physically, we can't able to see those computers. But virtually, we can connect with those machines and we can perform the operations. Right? As a operations team, first they need to create the infrastructure. In that infrastructure, machines will come. Right? After that, software's installations will come. Software installations will come. Right, next here server setup is required. Next here network setup is required. And here database setup. And here, right, we need storage setup, etc. All these things will come under this infrastructure setup only. All these things will come under this infrastructure setup only, guys. Okay, very good. My infrastructure is ready. Next, what operations team will do, guys? Once infrastructure is ready, next step, guys, operations team will download the code from the source code repository. Right? Who uploaded the code into the source code repository? Developers are uploaded the code into the source code repository. Right. Next, operations team will download that code, guys. Whatever the code developers are uploaded, that code will be downloaded by the operations team. Right now here, download the code from repository. Right. This is the second step, guys. Once code is downloaded, guys, observe carefully. Once code is downloaded, what we need to do, guys? That code is, right, computer can't able to understand that code. Here, you can't able to deliver that code directly to the client. Client don't know what is Java. Client don't know what is Python. Client don't know what is C#, guys. Then what we need to do? We need to convert this source code into the machine understandable format first, guys. We need to compile that code. Compilation is nothing but what? Converting from high level language to machine understandable format, guys. Compiling the code from high level language to low level language is called as compilation, right? So here, what third step we need to do? We need to compile the code. And right here, a project contains hundreds of files, guys. Right, how you can deliver all hundreds of files, guys? Right, we need to package all those hundreds of files, guys. We need to package those files as jar file or var file. That we will call it as artifact, guys. Project contains hundreds of files. Right, how you can give all hundreds of files at a time? We can't able to give. Then what we need to do? We need to bundle. We need to package all hundreds of files as a artifact. So that is called as compilation and packaging. Guys. This is the third step which we need to do. First step, infrastructure setup. Second step, download the code from the repository. Third step, compilation and packaging, guys. Okay. What is the next step, guys? Next step, we will do the code review. Guys. And here we need to review the code, guys. Whether developers are followed the coding standards or not. whether developers are written the test cases or not. All the test cases are passed or failed. Code coverage is above 80% or not. Everything we need to review. That is called code review. As a fourth step, we need to do the code review. Once code review is completed, then only if code review is success, then only your application is eligible for the deployment. Then we will deploy the application in the server, guys. Deploy the application in the server. Guys, observe carefully. Observe these 5 steps, guys. First, we need to set up the infrastructure. Second, we need to download the code from the repository. Third, compile the code and package the code. Code review, deploy the application in the server, guys. Okay, fine, guys. Guys, observe carefully. Here, as a source code repository, what we are going to learn? As a source code repository, what we are going to learn? Here, as a source code repository tool, we are going to learn GitHub, guys. GitHub we are learning as a source code repository. Next, guys, here what I want to do, I want to create the infrastructure. To create the infrastructure, what operations team will use, guys? Right here, we have multiple ways to create the infrastructure, guys. The first one is using GUI. You can create the infrastructure. Right. Next one. Second one is using IAC. Infrastructure as code, also you can create the infrastructure, guys. And GUI means what? You need to create the account in the AWS and you will get the login page. You need to provide username and password and login into that account. Through UI, you can create the infrastructure. That is one step. But nowadays, companies are not recommending that approach, guys. All the companies are expecting create the infrastructure using infrastructure as code. Using IAC only, we need to create the infrastructure in the companies. Earlier, they used this approach, guys. But nowadays, companies are strictly recommending to create the infrastructure by using IAC, infrastructure as code. Here, what we are going to learn as infrastructure as code tool, guys? Can anyone respond? Can anyone respond, guys? Can anyone respond? I will talk all those things later. First, try to understand what is DevOps, why DevOps, what is database, what is storage, I will tell. When you create the virtual machine, by default, you will get some storage, guys. Those storage, we will call it as the volumes. Root volume is you will get. In that root volume, operating system is available. Right? If you want some additional volumes, we can create the additional volumes. We can attach that additional volume with the EC2 instance and we can store the data. That is different story. We will discuss later about that. Okay. First, try to understand what is DevOps, why DevOps. Please cooperate. I will clarify all your doubts, guys. Okay. Someone is telling. What IAC tool we are going to use? Terraform. Very good, guys. Here, as a infrastructure as code tool, we are going to learn Terraform. By using Terraform, we will create the infrastructure in the AWS cloud. Okay. Right, infrastructure means virtual machines, right, and everything, VPC, virtual machine, security groups, right, key pairs and everything we will create by using Terraform, guys. Next, guys, I want to install the softwares, guys. Right, I want to install the softwares. Suppose if you want to run the application in 10 servers, in all those 10 servers, you need to install the software. Then what you will do? You will connect it to each and every server and you will install the required softwares. Is that correct? No, that is not recommended approach. Here we have one configuration management tool. By using that configuration management tool, you can connect to all 10 servers remotely and you can install the softwares at a time in all those 10 servers, guys. You don't need to connect each and every server manually and you don't need to install the packages. We have configuration management tools. By using that configuration management tool, you can connect with all the servers at a time remotely and you can install the required softwares in those servers. Which configuration management tool we are going to learn here? Right, we are going to learn Ansible. As a configuration management tool, we are going to learn Ansible here. Guys, earlier people used it to work with Puppet and Chef, guys. But those are outdated. No one using that Puppet and Chef. Nowadays, all are following this Ansible only as configuration management tool. Okay. Like this, guys. So like this, we need to set up the infrastructure by using Terraform and Ansible, these things, guys. Next, guys, I want to download the code from the repository. Right? If you want to download the code from the repository, here what you will use, guys? Here we are going to use Git client. Git client we will use it here, guys. Right? We need to install the Git client in our system. Through that Git, right, we can download the code from the GitHub repository. Okay. Next, guys, I want to compile the code and package the code, guys. For that, here we are going to use Maven, guys. Maven we are going to use as build tool. By using this Maven only, we will do the compilation and we will do the packaging and everything, guys. Next, guys, right here, do you have any other build tools, guys? Do you have any other build tools? Maven, apart this Maven, any other build tools are available? Anyone can respond? Guys, anyone can respond? Apart this Maven, any other build tools are available? No. Ant is there, but Ant is outdated. Right? Nowadays, companies are using Maven or Gradle. Guys. These are the two build tools companies are using, guys. And earlier people used it to work with Ant, but the Ant is there, Ant is there, but those are outdated. No one using nowadays, guys. Nowadays companies are using Maven and Gradle, guys. Okay, these are the build tools, trending build tools, guys. Okay. Next, guys, I want to use the code review, guys. I want to perform the code review. If you want to perform the code review, which tool you will use, guys? For code review tool, what we have? Already yesterday I discussed it, right? What tool we are going to use for code review? Right, Sonar Cube we are going to use, guys. Sonar Cube we are going to use for code review purpose, guys. Okay. If you want to deploy the application in the server, then which tool we need to use, guys? Jenkins we are going to use to deploy the application in the servers, guys. Guys, have a look into this, guys. Right, GitHub we are covering, Terraform we are covering, Ansible we are covering, Maven we are covering, Sonar we are covering, Jenkins we are covering. All these tools we are going to cover, guys. After that, right, why Docker and Kubernetes are required? Why Docker is required, guys? Tell me. Why? When Docker will come into the picture? When Docker will come into the picture, guys. See, guys, if you want to manage the application in the multiple servers, then Docker will come into the picture, guys. If you want to manage the application in multiple servers, then Docker will come into the picture, guys. Docker is what, guys? Containerization tool. Kubernetes is what, guys? Orchestration tools, guys. When those two tools we will use to manage the application in multiple servers, right? So we will use Docker and Kubernetes concepts, guys. And here we will use Docker and Kubernetes. Right? So next, guys, here we are creating the artifact, guys. Maven is creating the artifact. Package is nothing but artifact, guys. It will create a jar file or var file, guys. For future purpose, I want to store that artifact in some location. For that, here we are going to use Nexus, guys. Nexus we are going to use as the artifactory repository tool. It upload artifact in the artifactory repository tool. Artifactory repository tool, guys. Right, what we are going to use as artifactory repository tool? Nexus we can use, or JFrog you can use, guys. Based on your company requirement, you can use whatever you want. In our sessions, we are going to understand Nexus, guys. We are going to use Nexus as the artifactory repository tool, guys. Okay. And here we are going to learn Nexus as the artifactory repository tool. 1 minute. Now scroll down. Next, guys. Here I want to monitor the application, guys. Right? I want to monitor the application inside the Kubernetes cluster. My application is running. Cluster is nothing but group of nodes, guys. master node is there, worker nodes are there. We will discuss. Now you guys can't able to understand what is master node, worker nodes, etc., etc. Later we will discuss what is master node and what is worker nodes, guys. Okay, now I need to monitor how my cluster is working. And I want to see cluster logs. If you want to monitor the cluster, we need to see the cluster logs, guys. And to monitor the cluster logs, we are going to use Prometheus and Grafana as the monitoring tools, guys. Monitor to monitor cluster logs. We are going to use Prometheus and Grafana. Guys, we are going to use this Prometheus and Grafana to monitor the cluster logs, guys. Okay, next, guys, I want to monitor the application logs. Guys. To monitor the application logs, guys, and we are going to use ELK. We are going to use to monitor the application logs, guys. Okay, where you will deploy, see guys, Prometheus, Grafana, ELK, all these are the third party providing applications. Right? We need to deploy these applications in the servers, guys, in the cluster, Kubernetes cluster. We will deploy all these applications. Then only we can monitor the cluster logs and application logs, guys. Okay, fine. Guys, observe carefully, guys. Now observe carefully here. And as a operations team, what activities you need to perform? All these things you need to take care as a operations team, guys. These are all the operations team responsibility. Now tell me, guys, whenever developers are upload the code into the GitHub repository, as a operations team, you need to download the code, you need to compile the code, you need to package the code, you need to perform the code review, you need to deploy the application in the servers. All these things you need to do. Guys, now tell me, in a day, how many number of times you need to perform these activities? In a day, how many number of times you need to perform these activities, guys? Downloading the code, right? Compiling and packaging the code review, deploying the application. How many times you will perform this activity? Please respond, guys. Please respond. In a day, how many times you will do this activity? Very good. Whenever developers are commit the code in the GitHub repository, right? So whenever developers are commit the code in the GitHub repository, every time we need to perform all these activities. Now tell me, in a day, how many number of times developers will upload the code into the GitHub repository? How many number of times developers will commit the code in the GitHub repository, guys? Right? How many number of times developers will commit the code in the GitHub repository? Can you able to tell exact count? Can we able to tell exact count, guys, in a day? How many number of times developers will commit the code in the GitHub repository? We can't able to tell. Even if they add simple comma, simple full stop also, they need to commit the code in the GitHub repository. Whenever developers are commit the code, every time you need to download the code, you need to compile that code, you need to package that code, you need to perform the code review, you need to deploy the application. Right? Whenever multiple developers are working in the project, right, they can commit the code multiple times, guys. Assume they are committing 10 times, they are doing the commits, guys. In a day, 10 times they will commit the code in the GitHub repository. As a operations team, you also 10 times you also need to perform all these activities, guys. 10 times you need to perform all these activities in a day. Okay, guys, if you want to perform 10 times these activities in a day, how much time you need to spend? How much time you need to spend? Whenever developer commit the code in the GitHub repository, every time you need to download the code from the GitHub repository, you need to spend some time to download, and you need to compile the code, and you need to package the code, you need to spend some time, you need to perform the code review, for that you need to spend some time, and you need to deploy the application, for that you need to spend some time, guys. Now tell me, if you want to perform 10 times all these activities in a day, how much time it will take? It will take lot of time, guys. It will take lot of time. It is not possible, guys. It is not possible. Because of this, what is happening? Delivery will become late. You can't able to deliver the project to client on time, guys. Why? Because manually you are doing this. If you want to do all these things manually, lot of time it will take. Because of that, deployment and delivery will become late, guys. It will take more time. Delivering the project to client, it will take more time because of this manual process. But earlier, people followed this approach only. Earlier, operations team followed this approach only, guys. Right? To avoid this problem, DevOps came into the picture. Avoid this problem, DevOps came into the picture. Now tell me, what is DevOps, guys? DevOps is not a programming language. DevOps is not a framework. DevOps is not a tool. Then what is this? DevOps is a culture. DevOps is a process. DevOps is a set of practices. By using the DevOps culture, we can automate the delivery and deployment process. Right? By using DevOps culture, all these activities, whatever you did manually earlier, all these things we can automate by using DevOps culture. Right? Before DevOps, this is a manual process. Whenever DevOps came into the picture, from that time onwards, we automated this entire process, guys. Every time, you no need to download the project from the GitHub repository. You no need to compile the project and package the project. You no need to do the code review and all. It is automatic process. Whenever developer commit the code, immediately my Jenkins job will trigger. In that Jenkins job, I will write multiple stages. Right? As a first stage, I will write download the code from the GitHub repository. Right? As a second stage, I will write compile the code and package the code. As a third stage, I will write perform the code review. As a fourth stage, I will write upload the artifact in the Nexus repository. As a fifth stage, I will write create the Docker image. As a sixth stage, I will write upload the Docker image in the Docker Hub. As a seventh stage, I will write deploy the application in the Kubernetes cluster. All these stages I will configure in my Jenkins job. Now, whenever developer commit the code, automatically it will trigger the Jenkins job, guys. Automatically my Jenkins job will trigger. Inside that, whatever the stages you have written, all the stages will be executed one by one automatically. You no need to do anything manually at here. Understood, guys? Now clear why DevOps required? Avoid the manual process. Right? DevOps is what, guys? Just it is a culture. Just it is a process. Just it is a set of practices. By using the DevOps culture, we can deliver the project. We can deploy the application as early as possible. Understood, guys? Is it clear? Guys, observe carefully. Right, one more diagram I will draw. Now observe carefully, guys. Here. Right, guys, observe carefully. See, guys, developers are uploading the code in the GitHub repository, guys. Now, as a operations team, what we need to do here, guys? Here, we need to create one Jenkins job, guys. Here, we need to set up the Jenkins, guys. We need to set up the Jenkins here. Jenkins. Okay. Here, we need to set up the Jenkins, guys. Okay. Now here what I will do, with this Jenkins, I will integrate the Maven, guys. With this Jenkins, I will integrate the Maven. Right? And I will integrate the Sonar Cube also with this Jenkins. Sonar also, I will integrate with the Jenkins, guys. After that, here, I will integrate the Nexus also with the Jenkins, guys. Nexus I will integrate, and here I will integrate the Docker also. I will integrate the Docker also with the Jenkins, and here I will integrate the Kubernetes, guys. Kubernetes also with the Jenkins, guys. Guys, observe carefully. You guys will get complete clarity here. Maven we are going to integrate. Sonar we are going to integrate. Right here, Nexus we are going to integrate. Right. Docker we are going to integrate, Kubernetes we are going to integrate, guys. Okay, right. So now see, guys, whenever developers are commit the code, immediately my Jenkins job will be triggered, guys. Inside the Jenkins job, Jenkins is using Git client, guys. Inside this, Jenkins will use the Git client to download the code from the GitHub repository. And Jenkins will talk to Maven. Hey Maven, I have some code. I have some code which I have downloaded from the GitHub repository. Could you please compile and package this code? Like that, Jenkins will talk to Maven. Maven will compile that code and it will package that code. And Jenkins will talk to Sonar also. Hey Sonar, I have downloaded the code from the GitHub repository. Could you please perform the code review? Could you please do the code review? So my Sonar will perform the code review. Once Maven created the artifact, my Jenkins will upload that artifact in the Nexus repository for future purpose. Next, guys, here my Jenkins will talk to Docker. Hey Docker, this is my application. Could you please create the Docker image for this application? Okay, Docker will create the Docker image and Docker will upload the image in the Docker Hub, guys. Right? Here, whatever the image Docker is created, it will upload, Jenkins will upload that image in the Docker Hub, guys. Next, guys, whatever the image it is uploaded, same image Jenkins will deploy in the Kubernetes cluster also. Your application is running in the Kubernetes cluster means you can access that application, guys. Is it clear, guys? Right. First, as the operations team, first you need to set up this one, guys. You need to set up this one and you need to give it to the development team. After that, developers will work on that, guys. Whenever developer commit the code, automatically my Jenkins will trigger. Inside the Jenkins, what we need to do? Here, we need to create the CI/CD pipeline. Here, we need to write the CI/CD pipeline, guys. CI/CD pipeline. CI/CD pipeline we need to create, guys. Okay, in the Jenkins, we need to create the CI/CD pipeline, guys. In the CI/CD pipeline, what we will do? We will write the stages, guys. As a first stage, I am going to write. Download the code from the GitHub repository. Download the code from the GitHub repository. This is the first stage, guys. As a second stage, I am going to write perform the Maven build. Perform Maven build. This is the second stage. As a third stage, I am writing perform code review. Perform code review. As a fourth stage, I am going to write upload artifact in the artifact repository As a fifth stage, create the Docker image or build the Docker image. As the sixth stage, upload the Docker image in registry, public registry or private registry. Registry. Upload the image in the registry. As a seventh stage, deploy the application in Kubernetes cluster. Right, guys? These are the 7 stages which we need to write, guys. Kubernetes cluster. These are the 7 stages we need to write in the CI/CD pipeline. Whenever developer commit the code, immediately my Jenkins will be triggered. Jenkins will take the CI/CD pipeline and inside this, whatever the stages you have written, all the stages Jenkins will be executed one by one. What stage is there? First stage is download the code from the GitHub repository. Okay, right here, if you want to download the code, what Jenkins need to use? Jenkins will use the Git client to download the code. Okay. Next, perform the Maven build. Who will do this activity? Maven. Okay, Jenkins will talk to Maven to perform the build. Next, code review is the third stage. Okay, Jenkins will go and talk to Sonar to perform the code review. Next, upload the artifact in the Nexus repository. Upload the artifact in the repository, guys. For that, here we have the Nexus repository. Jenkins will upload the artifact in the Nexus repository. Next guys, build the Docker image. For that Jenkins will talk to Docker to build the Docker image. Next, upload the Docker image in the Docker Hub registry guys. For then Jenkins will upload the image in the Docker Hub. Next, deploy the application in the Kubernetes cluster. Jenkins will deploy the application in the Kubernetes cluster. Inside the CI/CD pipeline, whatever the stages you have configured, all the stages will be executed one by one by using Jenkins guys. You no need to do anything. First guys, before going to start the development only, as a operations team, you need to create this guys. You need to create this complete architecture, complete setup you need to do, and you need to hand over this setup to the development team. Right, so then they will start the development. Whenever they will commit the code, automatically all these steps will be executed one by one. They won't call the operations team every time. Then they will call the DevOps team. If deployment got failed, if a build got failed, then they will call you. You need to go and you need to verify the logs, guys. Why deployment got failed? Under which stage deployment failed? In the Maven build stage, or in the code review stage, or uploading the stage, or Docker build image stage, right? In which stage it is failed, that you need to verify in the logs, right? And you need to tell to the development team what is the problem. Understood, guys? Is this clear? Guys, please respond. Respond, guys. Is it clear? Right. See, guys, just to have a look into this. Earlier, all these things are the manual process. Because of this manual process, deploying and delivery of the application is getting late. That's why DevOps came into the picture. Right, with the DevOps culture, what we are doing? We are automating the deployment and the delivery process by using DevOps culture. Okay. See, guys, here, if you see this diagram, guys, what we need to do in real time, guys, as a DevOps engineer, as a operations team, this is what you need to do in the company. Before going to start the development, you need to create this setup, guys. You need to create this setup and you need to give it to the development team. What setup you need to do? See, guys, you need to write the code, guys. Here you need to write the CI/CD stages, guys. Let me show. In my previous batch, recently I have completed the real-time project session. There I explained how to write these stages, guys. See, guys, in the project setup batch, guys, everything step by step. What is the step 1 they need to do? Right, they need to create the Jenkins server and all. Step 2, Sonar setup. Step 3, Nexus setup. Step 4, Docker setup. Everything step by step. I have explained everything here. Right, I showed how to write that pipeline script also. This is the pipeline script. See, guys, as the first stage, what I have written? Git cloning the project from the GitHub repository. See here, I have provided the GitHub repository URL where that project developers are uploaded. That URL I have provided, and my Jenkins will download the project from this location. Next stage, what I have written? Build the project, Maven build. See here, Maven clean and package, guys. Maven build stage. What is the third stage, guys? Code review. Perform the code review is the third stage here. What is the fourth stage, guys? Upload the artifact in the Nexus, guys. Upload the artifact in the Nexus for future purpose. Next stage is what? Creating the Docker image. Build the Docker image. Next, push the Docker image in the Docker Hub. Next, deploy the application in the Kubernetes cluster. This is what you need to write, guys. The real time, this is what you need to write to set up that one, guys. So like this, you need to write the CI/CD pipeline. This is the CI/CD pipeline stages, guys. In this, whatever the stages are there, all the stages, my Jenkins will execute one by one. Okay? Is that clear, guys? One is asking no practical work. Today is the first session. Today only I want to show this practically. Today only, if Brett, without learning what is Maven, without learning what is GitHub, without learning Docker, without learning Kubernetes and all these things, directly can I show this practically? Sri Vatsava, can you able to understand if I show this practically today? You will get, guys, everything you will get. First, today just I'm trying to explain what is DevOps. Just I'm trying to explain what is DevOps. As a DevOps engineer, what you need to do in the company. That is what I'm trying to explain in the today's session, guys. Okay. We will see everything practically, guys. Yesterday I told guys, that everything I will discuss practically with real-time scenarios. Be patient, guys. Guys, some companies will use Jenkins CI/CD pipelines. Some companies will use the code deploy and all those things. In AWS also we have the code deploy and all those things. Code commit, all these things are available in the AWS also. But most of the companies will use Jenkins CI/CD pipeline only. Most of the companies will use Jenkins CI/CD pipeline, guys. Right? Based on the companies, they will use different things. Cloud also, nowadays cloud also providing this code commits and all those keys. Right? Some companies will use cloud providing things also, guys. But most of the companies are using this Jenkins CI/CD pipeline only, guys. Okay. Right. So now let me write a few steps here, guys. Let me write a few steps here. Right. What is DevOps? What is DevOps, guys? What is DevOps? Guys, respond. What is DevOps, guys? What is DevOps? See, guys, DevOps is not a space bar issue, guys. DevOps is not a programming language. DevOps is not a programming language. It is not a framework. It is not a framework. And it is not a tool. It is not a tool, guys. Then what is this? Guys? DevOps is a culture. DevOps is a culture. DevOps is a culture or process or set of practices. Set of practices, guys. What is DevOps, guys? Just it is a culture or process or set of practices, guys. Okay. With this DevOps culture, what we can do, guys? With this DevOps culture, right, we can deliver the project. We can deliver the project to client. We can deliver the project to client, right, as easily and quickly, guys. Easily and quickly. Right, with this DevOps culture, we can deliver the project to client easily and quickly. Right. DevOps is used to automate the project delivery process, deployment and delivery process, guys. Deployment and delivery process, guys. Right, DevOps is used to automate the deployment and delivery process, guys. Okay, so DevOps is the combination of see, guys, development plus operations, guys. Development plus operations, guys. It means what, guys? Some people will feel, array, DevOps is the combination of development plus operations, so DevOps team should know the development also. No, guys, that is not the meaning for this, guys. Then what is the meaning for this, guys? See here, with this DevOps culture, right, with this DevOps culture, right, development team and operations team both will work collaboratively. collaboratively, guys. That's why we are saying DevOps is the combination of development and operations, guys. With this DevOps culture, here these two people, guys, operations team and right development team, both are working collaboratively with this DevOps culture, guys. See here. See guys, these two people are going to work collaboratively. Right? This is the developer activity and this is the operations team activity. Both people are going to work collaboratively with this DevOps culture. Okay, with this DevOps culture, development team and operations team both will work collaboratively. In every project, if you go to any project, guys, in every project, in every project we can see below three teams, guys. Below three teams. What three teams are there, guys? What three teams are there? Right, one is the development team. One is development team. Right, the second one is the operations team. Right, third one is the testing team, guys. Third one is the testing team. So like this, we can see three types of teams, guys. What is the role of the development team, guys? Development team will develop the applications as per client requirement, by using some programming language, languages, guys. And they will upload the code, right, once, right, and they will upload the code into source code repository. This is the developer's responsibility, guys. They will upload the code into source code repository, guys. Okay, next, guys, what operations team will do, guys? Operations team, guys, whatever the code developers are uploaded in the GitHub repository, right, operations team will download that code. Operations team will download the code from the repository. Operations team will download the code from the repository and they will package the code. And they will deploy the code, guys. See, guys, they will deploy the code into the server. Guys. What operations team will do? Operations team will download the code from the repository and they will package the code and they will deploy the code into the server. See, guys, and what testing team will do, guys? Testing team will test the application. Right, whether it is working as per client requirement or not. Guys. Testing team will test the application whether it is working as per client requirement or not, guys. Right, if you go to any project, you can see these three teams, guys. Right, but here one more important, guys. Every project will have, see, guys, 1 minute, guys, let me take the charger, guys. 1 minute. Right, guys, what I'm telling, Right. Every project will have the dedicated development team. Every project will have the dedicated development team and dedicated testing team, guys. Testing team. Every project will have the dedicated development team and dedicated testing team. But here only I'm adding. But they don't have the dedicated DevOps team. Dedicated DevOps team, guys. Right? DevOps team should work for multiple projects simultaneously. Why, guys? Why? See, guys, right here, before going to start the development only, you will create this complete thing, guys. You will create complete setup before going to start the development only. And you will give this setup to the development team and they will start the development. Okay. After that, what DevOps team will do? DevOps team wants it ideal, right? Companies won't pay the salaries for free, right? So simultaneously, DevOps team should work for the other projects also. Whenever this project team have the issue, right, then they will call you. At that time, you will come and you will verify the issue, guys. You will troubleshoot that issue. Until that time, you need to work for the other projects. That's why every project will have the dedicated development team, dedicated testing team, but they won't have the dedicated DevOps team. As a DevOps engineer, you should work for the multiple projects simultaneously. Is it clear? Gita, is it clear? Right. See, guys. Now here, right, yesterday I told guys what tools we are going to learn, guys. What DevOps tools we are going to learn. So yesterday I told guys. Right here, Maven we are going to learn. Right, GitHub. See, guys, here. Yesterday I have written here. See, guys, all these tools, guys. Here, Maven we are going to use as the build tool, guys. GitHub we are going to use as the source code repository tool. SonarCube we are going to use as the code review tool. Jenkins we are going to use as the deployment tool. Terraform we are going to use as the infrastructure creation tool. Ansible we are going to use as the configuration management tool. Docker we are going to use as the containerization tool. Docker Swarm and Kubernetes we are going to use as the orchestration tool. Prometheus, Grafana and ELK we are going to use as the monitoring tools. Nexus we are going to use as the artifactory repository tool. Jira we are going to use as the project management tool. Is it clear, guys? Did you guys got the clarity? What is DevOps? Why DevOps is required? If you don't have the DevOps, right, this is a manual work which you need to do, guys. As a operations team, all these things you need to do manually if you don't have the DevOps. Right, once DevOps came, from that time onwards, this complete process got automated. Okay, otherwise, this is the manual process earlier, guys. Okay, as a DevOps engineer, what you need to do in the company? Is it clear? See, guys, here you need to create pipelines and everything like this, guys. And if anybody asks you to create the infrastructure in the AWS cloud, you should create. You should create, guys. If anybody asks you to create the EC2 instances, if anybody asks you to create the database, RDS database in the AWS cloud, if anybody asks you to create the DynamoDB tables in the AWS, then you need to create and you need to share the corresponding details to the respective team. They will use that, guys. They will use what we have created in the AWS cloud. Okay, that all those things one by one we will learn, guys. Just today, right, I tried to explain what is DevOps, why DevOps, guys. Okay, I hope is it clear, guys. Just please go through this once. Just go through this. What is DevOps? DevOps is not a programming language. It is not a framework and it is not a tool. Then what is this? DevOps is a culture. It is a process or it is a set of practices. With this DevOps culture, we can deliver the project to client easily and quickly. Right? DevOps is used to automate the project deployment and delivery process. Earlier, this is the manual process. With this DevOps culture, we automated that process, guys. Okay, DevOps is nothing but what? It is the combination of development plus operations. Don't feel developers also should know, right? DevOps engineers also should know the development. No, guys. That is not correct statement. Here, what does it mean, guys? Right, with this DevOps culture, development team and operations team both will work collaboratively. Right, collaboratively both teams will work, then only right they can able to deliver the project quickly, right, and easily, guys. If they are not working collaboratively, again it will become late, guys. Okay, in every project we can see these three teams, guys: development team, operations team, and the testing team. What is the responsibility of the development team? Development team will develop the applications as per client requirement by using some programming languages, and they will upload that code into the source code repository. As a operations team, you need to download that code, and you need to package that code, and you need to deploy that into the server. As a testing team, what you will do, guys? You need to test the application whether it is working as per the client requirement or not. Right? If you go to any project, right, dedicated development team is available, dedicated testing team is available, but they don't have the dedicated DevOps team. Why? DevOps team should work for the multiple projects simultaneously. Is it clear, guys? Right. The different we have, guys. Oh, right. So many project management tools we have, guys. We have so many project management tools that is also up to their project requirement. They will use different things, guys. Right. But mostly people use it to work with Jira only. Right. Whatever the right, frequently mostly using tools are there, those we are discussing it here, guys. Okay. Is it clear, guys? Anyone have any questions in today's session? So now you guys got the clarity what is DevOps, why DevOps. As a DevOps engineer, what you need to do. All are clear? Please, guys, please. Guys, we need to learn happily everything. And if you guys want to learn everything happily and properly, a response must be required, guys. Linux is outside, not part of the DevOps, guys. But if you want to work with DevOps and AWS, then Linux is the prerequisite, guys. And everything we are going to do by using Linux commands only. Everything we are going to do by using Linux commands only, guys. Okay, I want to connect with the virtual machine which we have created in the AWS cloud. And for that we will use Linux commands. Okay, I want to install the softwares. Right, I want to copy the files. Right, for every activity we will use the Linux commands. I want to create the directories, I want to create the files. For everything we need to use the Linux commands only, guys. That is not our job, guys. We need to deploy the application in the server, and that server URL we need to share to the testing team. Testing team will test the applications, guys. Okay, right. Guys, before going to the live, we need to test the application in multiple environments, guys. We have so many environments are there. Dev environment is there, sit environment is there, UAT environment is there, pre-prod environment is there, like that. Before going to the production, we need to test the application in multiple environments. And once you deploy the application in those environments, that URL you need to give it to the testing team. They will test the application in that environment, guys. Okay. Server URL we need to share to the testing team. They will test the application. Development server URL we need to share. Sit server URL we need to share. UAT server URL we need to share. As per that, they will test the applications in all those environments, guys. Okay, I will tell who will use the sit environment, who will use the UAT environment, who will use the dev environment, who will use the pre-prod environment. I will explain all those things, guys. We have separate session, environment session. There I will explain everything, guys. Clear? Okay, fine guys. Right guys, tomorrow, right, we will discuss remaining things guys. Right, for today I'm stopping here. If you guys don't have any questions, I will stop for today. Tomorrow we will discuss guys. Remaining things we will discuss in the tomorrow session. Right, once your registration is completed, right, so they will create the Telegram group with all those people, and they will create the right group in the Google Drive also, right, so then they will share the class notes and class recordings as per that guys. Once registrations are completed, right, they will create the Telegram group and a separate group in the Google Drive also. They will upload the class recordings in the Google Drive, and I will share the class notes in the Telegram group guys. Okay, right, tomorrow is the last demo session. After that, right, from day after tomorrow onwards, everyone, right, will get these class notes and class recordings guys. So try to complete your registration process by tomorrow guys. Okay, tomorrow you guys can attend. Tomorrow one more free demo session is there from day after tomorrow, right, so maybe they will change the link guys. Thank you guys. Tomorrow we will discuss remaining things guys. Thank you. Good night.